I'm going to be your keynote speaker today to be able to talk to you about the year ahead and kind of my thoughts and reflections. But before we do any of that, I want to be able to formally induct our new board and officers. So I want to call forward our president-elect and treasurer, David Bramley, our secretary, Pat Bauer, our assistant secretary, Arlene, that's the Arlene's here, our immediate past president, David Kelly, and then our directors for the term 2023 to 25, that is Ken Rako and Larry Franklin. And then for the new directors for 2024 to 2026, Tammy Heisler, Linda Crystal, and Julie Scales. And I will let the club know that apologies for not being able to line this up earlier before there was a club-wide election, but the board will be voting tomorrow evening at our board meeting to potentially elect Dave Pitchford to fill the one remaining open term in the 2024 to 2026 class. And he unfortunately can't be with us. He went out to California and got COVID like everybody else these days. So do have him in your prayers. But such a fine looking folks here, and let me offer this induction. Well, to you as the incoming officers and directors of the Rotary Club of Dunedin, you have been elected to the important positions in the administration of our club, and this is an indication of our esteem and confidence in you, in all of you. We also believe that you will uphold the high traditions of our club, that you will give the best of your executive ability to the furtherance of the interest of our club and carrying forward the objective of Rotary. So I ask you, will you fulfill the responsibilities of your offices to the best of your ability and in accordance with the constitutional documents of this club, will you? All right, so you are now duly installed and elected as officers and directors. And I think, Renee, I saw that you got a picture. Oh, awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And thank you all for being willing to serve together in this coming Rotary year. So I wanted to talk with you all a little bit about sort of how I see the coming year ahead. I will let you know, of course, if you aren't aware already, I have, my career has been as a Presbyterian pastor. That means, for one, that I'm automatically set to talk for 20-minute segments. So, you know, I might automatically go off and shut down in 20 minutes. Also, it means that what I have done professionally has been to try to lead a group of people that meets weekly, that has a board that governs them, that tries to develop the folks within the group that meet weekly, and then to send them out to do good stuff in the community and the world. So I hope that I bring with me then some skill into this particular job of a group that meets weekly. I do not serve wine, yeah. And I can't turn the water we've got into wine, so that's out. That's out as well. That's the guy who worked for us, my boss, not me. I don't have to refer that. But that I do bring hopefully some skills, particular skills, perspectives to this job of a group that meets weekly, that hopefully develops as a group and as a community, and to be sent out to do some good stuff in our community and in our world. However, I also recognize and am always ready to recognize, I hope, the things I don't know, the things I don't understand, the things that I'm just not simply aware of or particularly skilled at. And that, of course, is why I rely on all of you. I've said to several of you that probably my main anxiety about filling this role is that I already have a 50-hour plus a week job. And now to step into this role that I know will require time and attention. And I get that. Now, I will say what overcomes that anxiety and gives me some confidence is knowing that I can rely on you, that we've got a great board of leaders that are good at leading other people and doing good work. So I'm confident that I don't do this work alone, but with you. So I'm grateful for that. And it puts my anxiety very much at ease. So I am counting on you very much. Now, as to the year ahead, I really want to spend this year. I remember I'm not a great athlete, but I did play varsity soccer in high school because it was our one high school team that didn't cut anybody at tryouts. They had so few people trying out for the team, they took everybody, which was perfect for me. But I certainly remember my limited and pretty unsuccessful varsity soccer career. I certainly learned as an athlete that it really so often is about fundamentals, you know, and you watch professional baseball players or professional football players. We're in baseball season very much right now. You know, even for them, even for Major League Baseball folks, it really does come down to throwing and batting and pitching and catching. And they still never outgrow those basic fundamentals. So I really want us to concentrate this year on the basic fundamentals of Rotary, who we are, what are we here to do, what really is our goal, our priority, our mission. Now, as probably would not come as much of a surprise, but with all the training that our district does to help prepare me for this role this year, one of the things that I learned, and again, this is not the surprising part, but Rotary has done a lot of research about, well, why do people bother joining a Rotary club in this day and age? Why stay in it? I don't know if you are aware, if not consciously, maybe a little bit unconsciously, but civic organizations like Rotary, like Kiwanis, like Lions, like churches have experienced significant decline in participation. I can write you a whole dissertation about that. So it's been important to look at, well, if fewer folks are engaging in something like Rotary, what are the strengths of Rotary? What actually makes people want to be a part of what we do here? And again, probably not surprising once you articulate them, but all of their research, they've discovered three basic things that motivate people. What's interesting, of course, is they have surveyed people when they begin their Rotary journey and then after they've been involved in the Rotary journey for a little while. And what they have discovered is those three things do not change. The order does, the priorities do, but the essence of those three primary things do not change, whether you've been a brand new member or been around for ages. The first one, any guess what the first one might be? Any sense of what that first priority might be have for people to be a part of Rotary? Community, absolutely. I'm labeling it belonging. So you'll hear me talk a lot this year about belonging. That we're here because we form community, because we actually get to know our fellow Rotarians and build relationships together and meet other people and enjoy hanging out with each other. And that's really always sort of the number one reason that folks are a part of Rotary, to build community, to feel like they belong, to build relationships. And so I want us to continue to think about and work on how do we make our membership experience, how do we make our sense of belonging even better than it already is? So how do we make, our weekly meetings as best as possible? And I'm incredibly grateful to the work that Julie Scales does in helping us secure speakers and programs, because that really is job one. You know, if we're not having a good meeting experience, then we're hurting. We're not doing, again, the fundamentals. Fortunately, we do the fundamentals of our meetings well. And I want to look at how we do them even better. And how do we build that sense of belonging? Along with that, of course, the work that Linda Crystal has done with our fellowship committee is incredibly important. And goodness knows, Linda has helped us grow great strides in just getting together and hanging out. People that we like, know, and trust, and just enjoying each other. That perennial question of who would you want to go have a beer with, right? And so that we're able to build that sense of fellowship even outside of our weekly noontime meetings. Related to that, of course, which is actually the second thing, sort of the second priority, the reason people are part of Rotary, that I'll get to in a minute, of course, is also the service opportunities and the community, the belonging that gets built in that. Now, I'll say this is the big three. I've got two small threes. So the big three, the first one of the big three is belonging. There's one small three related to belonging, and that is how we are with each other. And I'm going to talk more to the board about this when we meet tomorrow night. But it's as important what we do as how we do it. So if we're trying to create community and a sense of belonging, how we do that is as important as what we actually do. And so I've got a set of three for how we are together, how we build belonging that I suggest to you. That first one is honesty. To be honest with each other, to tell the truth or tell our own truths from where we are. And I will tell you that happens not only in what you say, but it also can happen or be violated in what you don't say. If you don't speak your truth, you're not telling the truth. And we need to hear from you. So if you have tended to kind of hold back, be a little quiet, we need to hear from you. We need to be honest, feedback about how the club is going, how you want to help make it better, any kind of honesty that you can provide. And certainly in the way that we are in speaking with each other, to be honest, tell the truth about things, not just try to shape things to support our position, but honesty. The other one is respect, to respect each other, to simply respect each other, to assume that each other is operating with the best interests in mind for the club. Always love the expression of assume positive intent. You know, a lot of times we can assume a negative intent. Well, that's so-and-so, they're just trying to be a jerk. They're probably not. They're probably just trying to do the best they can the way that they see it. So respect for one another. This will come into, like I said, I'll stress this tomorrow night, particularly with our board meeting, but that includes things like not interrupting, allowing only one topic at a time, not changing topics midstream, and making sure that everybody around the table gets a chance to share. So, well, like I said, the board will talk more about that tomorrow night, but very important. And then the third thing is in this belonging triad is also to be curious. Just be curious. So-and-so doesn't agree with you. Gosh, well, Renee, how is it that you see the world the way that you do? I'm really kind of curious why you think that, or where this is coming from, or what experience you have had to lead you with some sort of reaction, comment, perspective. So to be curious about each other. Again, we can make a lot of assumptions, but the only way to test out our assumptions is to be curious and to want to find out, what the facts are, what the truth is, what's really going on here. So asking a lot of questions. So that goes all under belonging. Again, honesty, respect, curiosity. Now, shift back to the big three. Second part of the big three, service. We've talked about service, and again, Linda has done a great job of getting us working with some service projects. Tammy is taking over that responsibility this year, which I'm very grateful for. Yay, Tammy. Thank you so much. And then, of course, and those are actually hands-on service projects that we'll be doing and continue to do. So grateful for that. But of course, all sorts of ways that we have to serve. The great work that Bev and the International Committee has for us to be able to serve on a global scale, make connections around the world. Very exciting work in that regard. Yeah, absolutely. Yay, Bev. Yay, Bev. The work that Larry Franklin has done and continues to do with our Interact Club at the high school. And if you aren't aware of the Interact Club, again, it's Rotary for high school age kids. We recognize this year that we are very much starting at square one there. We have only one remaining club member because everybody else were seniors. So they've headed off to parts unknown. And the faculty advisor that we had has also retired. So this is very much a building year for our Interact Club. And I know we've got some folks that are willing to help Larry out and really build that experience. But that's another way, certainly, that you can serve. And then, of course, being able to serve in raising the funds that we use to help people in our community through our fundraisers, the fishing tournament. Again, Linda, her great work and her team with that, and Larry with the Try, and great work he and his team have done with that. And then, of course, the people that do a great job of helping us spend the money that we have raised, both with our grants committee that Dave Kelly is going to be chairing this year, as well as the scholarship committee that Larry continues to serve. And so those are also ways that we can all be involved and serve. And then, of course, the last thing is, anybody guess what that third key of Rotary is, according to the surveys, why people join? Any sense? Grow your business. Network. And I know the word networking can be a little bit of a dirty word, but here's one thing that they reminded us. Not only is that what a lot of people come looking for, by the way, I do know that the research shows that people often come into Rotary with that as a top priority. And by the time they've been in Rotary for a while, they recognize, no, it's really kind of the third priority, but it's still in the top three. And of course, as they reminded us, Paul Harris started Rotary really as a networking organization. That's why he did it. That's why they formed it, to be able to build their professional lives well together. I'll say a couple of words, though, about what I mean by networking. One, I want to talk about networking specifically. And many of you have been familiar with networking groups, specifically networking groups that are very hard-nosed about it. And if you have known sort of this additional triad of visibility, credibility, and profitability. A lot of times networking folks talk about visibility, credibility, and profitability. And of course, you first have to be visible. People have to know you. Second, of course, you have to be credible. The people actually can count on you to do what you're going to say you're going to do. And then only in the third step, you get to the point where people are actually going to want to do business with you, refer other people to do business with you. And that's really a level of trust and liking. People don't do business unless they like, know, and trust you, right? It's got to be an interpersonal relationship. And I know sometimes that can come across as a little self-serving. That's often the negative feeling that we get when people talk about networking. Oh, it's so self-serving. But here's the key. Good networking to move somebody from visibility to profitability. Do you know what the number one key of being able to make that transition from just being visible to being profitable and credible? Do you know what the number one key for that is? Service. Service. If you're out there trying to do networking by promoting yourself, you get nowhere. But if you approach that by building relationships where you can be of service and help to others, suddenly people are like, oh, wait a minute. This person, this guy, this gal, this person, they're actually out here to help me, to help others, to help the world. I really like them. I want to be more connected to them. And that's actually what good networking means, not the stereotype of self-promotion, but really the Rotary value of service. Which brings me to something that I want to invite you all to do with me, and I'll try to remember to do this. In church, we have certain traditions, certain liturgies that we use. I'd like to have one a little bit here with Rotary. And it's the tagline, it's the motto really that we often use in Rotary, but I want it to be kind of a call response thing. So that if I say service, you say above self. Thank you. If I say service, you say if I say service, you say, because that's really what we are here to do. Now, I also finally want to expand that idea of networking and really make this third one about development. How do we develop as better people, as better professionals? And I will say to those of you who are retired, you are still, I know you folks who are retired, you are still doing things. You have certain passions that you need help with. That might not be your vocation for payment, but it is certainly your avocation. And so I think the lessons about networking and connections, help and leadership and development apply just as much to those avocations as they do to the vocations. But to really talk about development and how we develop so that hopefully when each of us are a part of Rotary, a part of our Rotary journey, we feel like we have become better people. We're better leaders. We're better in our professions, our vocations, our avocations. We're better in our community so that we actually develop as people. And part of that is direct networking, building communities of support and connection. It also can be learning as well and growing as individuals. And I have certainly learned a lot about a lot of the training opportunities that different Rotary organizations offer. And I want to be able to promote some of that more this year, but ultimately want us to be able to develop better as just human beings, better citizens, better members of our community, and better professionals as well. So again, those big three: belonging, serving, and developing. Belonging, serving, and developing. And those really are the fundamentals of Rotary. I really want to see us focus on that. Also work on making sure we're running a smooth ship administratively as well. That's always critical and important. That infrastructure has to be there as well. But again, just those basics of belonging, serving, and developing as people and as Rotarians. So that's my hope for this year. I look forward to serving as your president. You probably, hopefully, received in the email a little newsletter that will provide updates. I hope to keep it fairly low maintenance. If you didn't get that or weren't able to print it, there are some copies here on the corner of the table that you are welcome to pick up. I'm only going to make a limited number of those available just because that's coming out of my pocket, or actually the church's pocket. Of their printer. Don't tell them. Dave, don't tell our church treasurer, Dave Brandon. Don't tell them that. But those are there. And if you didn't get a copy of that in your email on Monday, let me know that as well. I also sent out a PDF of our membership roster as well. And I encourage you, if you take a look at that, make any corrections to your own listing there as well. But that's all that I've got for us. I'm trying to think, did I make time? Oh, I'm 3 minutes early. Look at that. Look at that. So what I want to shift into is something else that I want to introduce this year, reintroduce for us, and that is a member spotlight. And so I want to take no more than 5 minutes. In fact, I will set my little timer here to 5 minutes. And I have even created some questions that I'm trying out. We'll see how this works to see if to what I should cover in these 5 minutes. The first question that I have, I promise. All right, on your mark, get set, go. First question: who are you? Well, I'm David Shelor. I'm pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Dunedin on the corner of Scotland and Highland. I've got a professional doctorate from a Presbyterian seminary in Chicago. I also have a second master's degree in organization development. So one of my primary professional interests has always been, how do we do change? How do organizations change? How do people and leaders function better? I live here in Dunedin. I've been here in Dunedin for 8 years. I live here with my wife, Mary Lynn Morris, Dr. Mary Lynn Morris. You wanted to add that. She is a professor of dance at the University of South Florida. So one of the great things, I get to walk to work because I live just on the other side of Skinner. She has an hour commute. Unfortunately, we don't talk about that much at home. I have two young adult children. My son, Graham, he lives in Atlanta, Georgia, where his mom does. And then my daughter, Lily, is an incoming college senior at Skidmore College in Saratoga Springs, New York. We also have a couple of bunny rabbits, house rabbits. So you can talk to me about what it means to have a house rabbit as a pet. How do I spend most of my time with my vocation or avocation? Again, I have been a pastor since 1995 in the Presbyterian Church, and again here for 8 years. What's the best thing about that? I always say the best thing about being a pastor is that I get to be with people in critical moments of their lives. And whether that might be at a wedding or a baptism or by somebody's hospital bed or even preaching on Sunday morning, and somebody comes up to me later and says, David, when you said X today, that just meant so much to me because of what I'm going through. I will tell you a little secret. Often when people say, David, I appreciate it so much when you said X, I think, I'm not sure I said X, but I'm glad you took it. What has been your Rotary moment, or what about Rotary is important to you? I have been a member of this Rotary Club, my own Rotary experience now, I think for about 7 years, and certainly have appreciated the relationships, the work, the connections. I will say, kind of related to the last thing I said about networking and development, one of my great motivations, quite frankly, for being involved in Rotary is to be able to connect with the broader community. I mean, I've got the congregation and that set of folks, and some of you around these tables are a part of that congregation. I'm grateful for that. But I also recognize that part of my job and part of my calling is to this broader community. So to be able to connect the broader community is critically important. And a couple of great ways that I can think about that. You may remember a couple of years ago when the Ukraine war first started, the idea bubbled up that we do a candlelight vigil for Ukraine. I knew immediately the first call I needed to make was to Wendy Barmore. Wendy was not a part of the congregation, but I knew that if I got music right, the rest would flow from there. And we just had a few days to throw it together, and she did beautifully. Secondly, similarly, a little community project in another organization that I'm a part of, and some specific sort of grunt work that needed to be done, some connections and relationships that needed to be made. I knew a great person to work on that was going to be Linda Crystal. Linda came through for me, and she did a beautiful job. And that's why I'm part of Rotary. And there've been some beautiful Rotary moments for me about that. I'm down to a minute. How can this club help me? Just be supportive and jump in during this Rotary year. And how can I help this club help others? Hopefully by providing some good leadership as president this year, and after that time is over, to continue to be an important and integral part of this work that we do together, really, to help this community, to help build this community, particularly folks who are in need locally and around the world. And always to remember, of course, that it is service. You remembered service. One more time, service. There you go. Hey, let's have some announcements. And look at that, 19 seconds left.